going to start. Good morning and good afternoon to everyone in this webinar. My name is Gosia and I'm going to facilitate this webinar. And I'm from Young Reporters for the Environment program. Before we give a floor to our speakers, let me to introduce you to few rules. I'm going to share my screen for a moment. Today at the webinar, we are going to meet 3 young influencers, and we will be having a webinar about how to become young influencer on social media, how to use social media effectively. And our influencers will introduce themselves in a moment. They will make short presentations, and after we will have some kind of interview with them and a discussion, and you will be able also to raise questions and ask them about different things. Today at the webinar, we are hosting 3 speakers, Haris, Emerald, and Christine. Haris and Emerald are from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Christine is from Canada. And they are all part of our Young Reporters for the Environment program. From a technical point of view, I would like to ask you, all of you, to keep yourself muted during the presentations. Once there will be a time for questions, you can unmute yourself and you can raise a question and ask our speakers. But if you have also some questions during the presentations, you can write them on chat. If any of you wish to receive a diploma, you can write this on private chat to me or to Florian Marie, and we will distribute the diplomas after the webinar. We are also recording this webinar, so if you are not able to participate, it will be uploaded as well on our website, and it will be possible to see this webinar after that. And also I'm inviting you already for the webinar tomorrow that will be about project-based learning. I will stop sharing my screen now, and I will ask our first speakers. I will ask Haris or Emerald to share your screen and start with the presentation from Bosnia and Herzegovina. So the floor is yours.
Thank you for that introduction. My name is Emerald, and my colleague, please introduce yourself.
My name is Haris Mehovic.
Turn on your camera just so they can see you. Okay. My camera is on my phone because I don't have a web camera, so I hope that's okay. Let's start. So we are YouTubers from Bosnia and Herzegovina called Huligani iz Gimnazije. This is our logo, and today we will tell you about our YouTube story. So who we are. We are a group of students who started a YouTube channel in 2013 that grew over time. At first we were a squad of 3. But today on our channel, there are more than 10 people working on creating content, actors, cameramen, voice recorders, and we are a full team today. Here are some facts about us. Haris, can you tell them?
We have over 427,000 subscribers, more than 100 million total views on our videos. We have more than 30 videos with over 1 million views. Our most viewed video has 3.5 million views. We are recognizable by our unique style and humor in making content. Our content is very diverse. We make sketches, music videos, hidden cameras, pranks, challenges, etc. So in our channel, you can find all kinds of stuff.
Yep, and this is a picture of us at the start. So on the left side, you can see our origin group. So me, my friend Adis, and my friend Amer, we started this whole thing. And on the right side, you can see the right dude. He is Janan Muhamedovic, and he joined and became the 4th member in the core of the crew or the squad. Our squad today is looking something like this. Here we gathered up for what we called a congress. where we talked about ideas, what to film, how to do it. Our cameraman was here to negotiate with him as well. So we can see we really took things into our hands today. What do we do? Harris will tell you.
Well, we mainly create short comedy videos and sketches. They are approximately about 10 minutes long. At the beginning, in our first years, topics were only school related. There were videos like types of professors, types of students, something like that, for example. But after we finished high school, we started to expand our range of topics, and today we cover all kinds of modern and trending topics. Now we will show you one video example
Okay.
of our work.
Just if for those who can't maybe watch now, you have a link at the beginning of the chat. So now we will present you our video called mobile apps in real life. In this particular scene, this guy in the blue shirt is like acting a reminder application, and it's reminding the guy in the white shirt about his obligations in that day.
Nahrankira prije 9.
Dobro.
Kupi ovdje sebi onaj dijetalni jogurt.
Hoću, kupit ću.
Ne zaborav otvoriti pekar do kraja sedmice.
Hoću, dobro.
Nemoj da sazna Amra Zazor.
Stani, napiši podsjetnik, izbrisati aplikaciju podsjetnik.
Ne, pa što to, ne!
Yeah, so as you can see, we have like maybe 10 to 15 apps in this video. We have Tinder, we have Viber, we have Facebook, YouTube, and so on. So I think you get our point. This is one of our most favorite personally videos, and it has more than 500k views. So let's get back to our presentation real quick. Okay, so how do we do it? We have a group chat where we arrange our filmings. The members who are free at the time gather up at a particular place where the filming happens. The filming lasts about 3 to 5 hours, and after that, the editing process lasts about 3 to 5 hours as well. After the filming and the editing, the video gets uploaded, and we start getting feedback from our subscribers. That feedback tells us if the video is good, bad, or neutral maybe. Our expectations in the beginning were really low. They were non-existent. We actually did not expect anything more than maybe 20 to 30 likes on Facebook. We just wanted to have some fun and get some likes along the way. We never had a bigger picture than that in the first year of making videos. Harris?
How did we succeed? Well, first of all, you need to have a strong will, clear vision, and to constantly keep your eyes on your goal. That's the main thing. Once we started to become aware of what we could become, we made a deal to gather every Saturday to make a video. We had that some kind of routine to upload a video every Monday, and we stick to it for years. When you're doing this job, commitment and consistency are crucial if you want to reach beyond expectations. That's the main thing.
Yeah. So what did success bring into our lives? In high school, in the second grade, when we started it, we were introverts. But the amount of views and positive feedback, with that, our confidence began to rise. And from introverts, we quickly became extroverts, and we started filming vlogs about our personal life. We were really started to become comfortable at the online platform called YouTube. I remember personally the moment when I reached 10k followers on my private account. That was really something special. It showed that all my hard work paid off. I remember 1 or 2 tears from my eye dropping because I was really happy. One of my happiest moments in my life. As you can see on these pictures now, we had multiple live TV interviews. The TV stations and channels started to recognize our work. and they called us to tell our story. Here you can see our live stage performance. So as Harris mentioned earlier, we also made maybe 3 to 5 music videos. And this particular picture, the arena called Dom Mladih Sarajevo, which has a capacity of over 3,000 people, they were all singing along with our song, and this was also one of the happiest moments in my life. Here you can see us with award in my hands. We won the Balkan Award for the best sketch of the year. We were nominated for it, but I did not expect to win it. And when they said our name as the winners, yeah, once again, one of the happiest moments in my life. Here we can see that we toured across our country and visited more than 20 different cities to meet with our fans. We really went top to bottom in our country, visited a lot of cities, a lot of fans, a lot of new faces, and in every city there were at least like 100 fans that came to see us, to have a live Q&A and stuff like that. And for the last slide, Haris.
What did we learn along the path? Well, we have these 3 quotes. For some, perhaps it can sound like some cliche, motivational, random sentences, but trust me, from our own experience, this is the biggest truth. If you put your heart and soul into your work, everything is possible. Follow your intuition and your instinct and see your dreams come true, and spread positive energy, and positive outcomes will come to you.
Yeah, so as Haris said, these kind of quotes appear a lot on social media, and don't take them like cliches. Just follow them and you will see really magical stuff happens if you stick to these quotes. So yeah, that's all from our presentations. We will hear from you in the interview stage.
Yes, thank you so much. It was really, really impressive and fantastic presentation. I think meantime, when Kristin will be sharing your presentation, maybe on chat you can write links to your Instagram and YouTube and contacts to you. I think people will appreciate that. And we will come back to you with the questions after a presentation from Kristin.
All right.
So Kristin, floor is yours.
1 second, let me share my screen. Everyone see that?
Yes, we can see.
Okay.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. First of all, hi to everybody joining us today. I hope everybody's staying safe at home and enjoying this webinar so far. So just to give a little introduction on who I am and who exactly is a Sassy Zoologist, as Gosha mentioned, I'm from Canada. From Toronto, 23 years old, and I have a background in zoology in school and have worked closely with a lot of different animals in aspects of wildlife care, education, and also conservation, working at various zoological institutions here in Toronto, as well as while I was in university at some lab facilities there as well. I've been part of YRE for about almost 7 years now, and has given me a lot of opportunities to attend certain conferences and learn a lot as a young reporter. Most recently, I attended La Nuit des Idées in Paris, France, representing Young Reporters for Environment as a young environmental activist. So very grateful for these opportunities. If you're wondering how I came up with the name Sassy Zoologist, it was actually in my 4th year of university, and I was inspired by Steve Irwin's The Crocodile Hunter, and I thought, why not create a brand for myself and a name as well? So it made sense for me to have zoologist, because that's what I was aspiring to be and studying to be, but to make it more memorable, and I guess because the description fits me, we added Sassy Zoologist, but don't worry, the good sassy kind. So how did I exactly begin as a YouTuber? So the inspiration came to me when It was my second semester of school in my last year. As you can see in these photos, I'm in my lab tutorials in school. On the left, you can see that's my lab herpetology, learning about turtles and crocodilians. And then on the right, you can see me holding a tarantula. They're not as scary. And this one's in my invertebrate lab. So at first, I wanted to show people what it was like to be studying zoology. It's not a very common field to be in. And I wanted to show people kind of behind the scenes of what goes on behind that. And when I first started in this program, I didn't really know what it was like. Obviously, I knew what I was going to be studying, sort of, but I wanted to show people who wanted to follow the same steps to have an idea what it was like, or if they were curious in getting into it, to answer some of their questions in that way. And this is just a little video, kind of like a signature video I play in all my videos. Very familiar for most people that watch me. Do you get why it's sassy now? So my tips for building your audience, at least from my experience, is for one, is starting with your inner circles, so your family and your friends, sharing it with them. I was very lucky, as my friends and my family were the ones supporting me and encouraging me to start this channel, because they're like, oh, it'll be very fitting for your personality. And don't be afraid to share your work. It can be intimidating, you know, sharing that on your social networks, especially if you're a private or an introvert, because it's, you know, you're always afraid of what people might think, but just take that risk and take that leap. Also share it on your socials, if you have all of them, like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of that, so that can reach a higher amount of people, get more traffic to your channel as well. Another thing is specialize in your niche. YouTube or any social media platform these days are pretty saturated. There's so many creators out there. So you want to specialize in that brand and make that memorable, so people can remember who you are. So in my case, in my channel, I focus on wildlife conservation, environmental activism, as well as travel. Those are the main themes and core concepts that I target. There are some YouTubers or like creators out there that are successful in combining so many things. However, if you really want to be known for a certain subject, you want to focus on that. And proper use of tags and keywords is also helpful, as it could lead you to appearing in people's recommendations, their home pages, or even a quick search on Google or whatever platform that they look certain things up on. So my experience as a YouTuber, safe to say, it's been a roller coaster. I started in 2018, so it's still pretty recent if you think about it. And there's a lot of things that I've learned along the way. So for one, I've met tons of people, people who have found me online and have DM'd me to collaborate. If you look at the upper left, the top left photo, you see me holding a ball python. That's Billy over there. He's the owner of Mutation Creation, and he just invited me to tour his ball python breeding facility here in Canada. So that's an opportunity that I never expected to have had. Also, since some friends have become knowing me as an influencer, I have had connections with Ocean Wise, which is a sustainable seafood program here in Canada, and to partake in the events they have and document it and vlog it to show people what they're all about. And also, I influence people in ways I didn't imagine. The main purpose of this channel was to answer some curiosities people have about zoology as a program, and I'm very glad to say that it has worked, because I get DMs regularly of people asking me what I did for school, if I have any advice for them, and I think it's nice to have someone like that, because I didn't know who to reach out to when I was starting in this program. Some challenges of being an influencer. There's quite a ton, but for one, number one is lack of motivation. Sometimes you're asking yourself, is it worth it? Especially if you're not getting the views or the response that you're expecting. But the main thing you can do to combat this is to remember why you were motivated and passionate in the first place. And also look at other people's stories. Everyone starts somewhere, everyone has struggles, and you're definitely not alone in that. Second thing is related, you can get discouraged. Sometimes a video you made may not get the amount of views you were expecting, or it may get more negative comments than positive. But instead of letting that bring you down, take it as a challenge and use it to improve yourself, and focus on the positive ones instead as well, because you never know what potential you may unlock in yourself by moving forward. As I mentioned, negative comments, it's a hard pill to swallow, but you just have to accept that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Some people may just not like the way you present yourself, but again, focusing on those people that support you, it's very impactful. And that way, if you channel that energy into, proving them wrong or becoming better, it's a better way for success. This one's like a writer's block, so an idea block. You may run out of content or you may lack inspiration. So the best thing you could do is ask your friends what they think, look at what your audiences say, what their feedback is, or even taking a walk to clear your head, because stress can definitely block some ideas you may have. Also, looking at what's popular or relevant in social media can be helpful to get ideas from. And staying consistent is a big challenge for me. This is a big challenge. Sometimes life gets in the way. And the best thing you can do is just set yourself a schedule and deadlines, and keeping yourself accountable so that you can succeed in completing the vision that you have. So tools that I personally use as a YouTuber influencer. So there's your camera. So there's their phone. I use my Canon G7 X Mark II for vlogging, GoPro occasionally. And to be honest, your phone is a very powerful tool, so that enough alone can help you if you want to start being an influencer or YouTuber, whichever you'd like. Tripod if you're filming alone, or if you have a sit-down video to prop it against or on. And a lot of SD cards or hard drives, because videos can take up a lot of space. For software, I have a MacBook, so for editing, I use at first iMovie, and then I upgraded to Final Cut Pro. And for my thumbnails, I use Sketchbook to add onto those fancy effects for my cover photos. And then you're gonna want to add music to make it exciting and not so dry. I use non-copyrighted music. I don't have funds for the paid music yet, and you can find a lot of sites that offer this, or even find some on YouTube itself. To manage your social networks, I personally do it manually, but these are two apps that I have used to help me. So these ones are mainly for Instagram, Later, and Preview. It can schedule your posts ahead of time, or it could even allow you to check out what your feed would look like with the scheduled posts. For the Sassy Zoologist Instagram account, I like doing this because I want to follow a color scheme, and that way I can see far ahead before I upload those photos. For YouTube, you can also schedule your uploads as well at a certain time and date if you upload it early enough. And a lot of websites, even Facebook, is allowing you to schedule posts ahead of time now. So as a young reporter, I want to highlight environmental issues and conservation. So my tips for that is to take advantage of the current momentum. There's a lot of people that you're seeing now taking this stage in the global platform and voicing out environmental concerns, as you're seeing in the media. When you're telling your story, it's important to choose your angle and always provide inspiration at the end. So for example, in this photo here, you see a Western lowland gorilla. Unfortunately, their numbers are plummeting in the wild. Main cause of that are human activities like poaching and habitat loss. So on habitat loss, I would expand this story by talking about how coltan, a metal mined in the African rainforest, is what's causing them to lose their homes. And instead of just leaving it at that, how sad it is, inspire the reader to take action and let them know what they can do from their home. Coltan is found in a lot of electronic devices. So the main thing people can do at home is to recycle their old phones or try to avoid turning over to the newest gadget all the time. And that way you can help the population of gorillas recover. And the reason why I emphasize providing inspiration at the end is because a lot of the media you see nowadays are often depressing. And if you have that depressing note in your articles, you can provide, it could generate hopelessness and in a way turn off people into caring because they can't handle such negativity. And to inspire them to take action, be aware of what's relevant, again, taking momentum, and look at it in different perspectives and think outside the box. So the way that you might care might not necessarily work on others. Let's say in the case of littering, I would care because I know it could directly impact animals. However, I have to think, how could I get other people to care a bit better? So some people may not even care as much as animals, but they will care about themselves. So instead of talking about animals, I might say, maybe you shouldn't litter, because that litter could end up in the ocean, end up as microplastic, ingested by fish, travel up the food chain, and end up on your plate, directly affecting you. So that's just an idea of how I would tackle communicating people to care more and take action. My advice and tips in general in being as an influencer is to maximize what you have and invest only if you see yourself doing this long term. There's a lot of stories that I've seen, people like buying fancy equipment, fancy gadgets and all of that, only for them to not continue on it. So even start with your phone, explore the apps they have. It's a very powerful tool, and see if it's for you. Network with people, talk to people, ask questions, reach out. There's nothing to lose in that aspect. And be there for the right reasons. If you're there just because and not for passion, you're going to find yourself failing, because it's so easy to lose motivation in that sense. And be open to inspiration. Once you find an idea, write it down. There's been so many times that I have ideas and I've forgotten it, but type that in your notes on your phone to avoid that from happening. Now, my goal as an influencer is to educate people and impact them positively. In my videos, I try to provide education on wildlife, conservation, environment. They may not have to take the whole idea home, but even if they learn at least one thing, that's a big important thing to me, especially breaking that barrier between science and the general public, because it can be very dry at times. So I want to provide a way to make it more fun for people and enjoyable. And at the same time, I want to dispel any misconceptions or myths about animals that may be out there. So that's my focus as an influencer, and tying that very well with being a young reporter as well. But that's all. Thank you guys for listening to me. And if you ever have questions, if you don't ask me here, my socials are at Kristen Rodrigo or the Sassy Zoologist. You can easily reach me there. But yeah, thank you. How do I exit?
Thank you, Christine. It was really fantastic. And you answered on a lot of questions that I had in my mind to ask as well. But now we will reach the opportunity for all of us to raise the questions to our speakers. And I would like to also go back to our speakers from Bosnia and Herzegovina, to Emerald and Haris. And when you are thinking about being influencers, you mentioned that you started at school and it was kind of by coincidence. What do you recommend other young people when they want to start that kind of activities? We don't hear you, Emerald, so if you can unmute yourself.
I'm sorry, I switched to my phone. Forgot. Okay. So we didn't have a plan at first. We just wanted to have some fun, and maybe, just maybe, that was the reason that we succeeded, because we didn't have financial goals or stuff like that. So today that really changed, because people see that influencers can make money and go with it without any heart. They just want to make profit. So my best advice is to build your own fan base with pure heart, and don't worry about financial stuff. Just put your heart and soul into it.
Exactly, and that's I agree with this, that now there is a lot of misunderstanding with influencers that we have on all social media, with people that are making money. And there was also one important word that Christine mentioned about passion, and being passionate about this, what you are doing, and share this, what you think that it's interesting for you, but that might be interesting also for others. And you both also mentioned something that it's good to find your niche and find some fun on doing this, what you are doing. And I know that you, the hooligans of Gimnasia, you started this as some fun, and you make it also some jokes and things, and you build your audience on that. And can you also continue, and maybe Kristen, you also can say how you build your audience of people at the moment to reach?
So before, it just used to be people who were interested. I would share it on pages, or I would be annoying. I would reach out to people and get them to give me feedback so I can improve on myself. But then so many people now just find me randomly just because in the zoology field, it's a pretty big community, but because it's not as common for a lot of zoologists or, people in this field to make YouTube. So it's easy for them to find me in that sense. But just to add on to what you said earlier, it's important to be passionate because, like they said, if you're doing this for the money, it's you're not going to be very successful because you're going to get easily discouraged when you don't see those numbers go up. But the main thing to do is just keep getting that content out there and like just not giving up, because eventually the right people will find it. And it only just takes one viral video for you to explode and like your channel grow.
Yeah, and I also think that we showed for two examples. One was start with a group of students in the class actually, and you started this as an individual influencer. And I would like to ask you also, both of you, what do you think, how we can actually turn people to get them interested in environmental issues? Because as Christine mentioned as well, there is a lot of negative messages all around the world and people kind of feel overwhelmed, sometimes maybe don't want to hear more because they are also getting information in school and different things. And how you think that we can make environmental issues popular and make them also like visible on social media and through people like you?
Today on internet you can learn a lot of things, and with a lot of influencers out there, there should be more positive influence from the influencers. So we try to spread positivity, to spread awareness. We didn't have exactly videos about environmental issues, but we had something like that. We always told our fans to study hard, to work hard, to be aware, to spread positive values, and that as an influencer is really important. But Christine, can tell you more about environmental issues concretely.
So for environmental issues, I find that, it's very negative nowadays, and it can get you depressed. And even I'll admit to that. Sometimes I see an article and I put it aside because it's just too heartbreaking or sad. But the best thing you can do as a reporter or like a creator is to empower people. So providing them like something they can do at home, because if you learn something all the way from a different continent and you're in a completely different country, you're like, well, what am I supposed to do in this situation? But telling them what they can do at home, providing links or advice, that can make them feel like they can actually make change in the world. And also another helpful thing is networking, knowing people out there are willing to work with you, or if you have an idea, even being a young reporter, I know that I can easily, find someone in Europe, even though I'm in Canada, be like, hey, can you educate me about these issues? What can I do all the way here in Canada? And that global network can make such a difference because it makes you feel less alone in this struggle, and that you can actually create change.
Thank you so much. And also you mentioned, Christine, before about challenges like such negative comments or things like that. How you work on that? And this is a question to you and also to Emerald and Harris.
So for negative comments, when I get them, I just see them as constructive. If a lot of them, I respond very positively because a lot of it is just misunderstandings or misconceptions. Sometimes you'll get the occasional hater, someone who just doesn't like your content or the videos that you put out, but you just block that, because if you look at all the comments that you get, that's just one versus, let's say, the other 50 or 100 positive support that you receive. And why let one comment ruin your entire day or how you're feeling about your work? And like I said, consider it as a challenge, prove them wrong if you can, but you also have to choose your battles. Don't waste energy on something that won't allow you to grow as a creator or even as a person.
And also not discourage you with working and continue your work. And yeah, thank you. And Emerald and Harris, would you like to?
Of course, there were some bad comments. For example, when we first started doing it, we were first grade, second grade of high school, and some boys from fourth grade always told us we won't succeed. It's stupid what we are doing. We should stop it and stuff like that. But you need to have your mind clear, and you stick to your vision. You have your plan and you don't allow others to affect it. You use your all that negative comments that coming to you. You use that as a fuel to become a better version of yourself and uh, to improve your content.
Exactly.
That's about it.
Yeah. To add on to that, as example, when I started vlogging, I was in class, so a lot of students would look at me like I'm crazy, but I would just ignore it and just continue filming because I know that it's more helpful to get that content out there. And yeah, like there's some people who literally look at me and judge me like to my face, not even online, but you just have to ignore it and think of the bigger picture of what your vision is and how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you both mentioned about building your audience, and it's especially in Serbia, you mentioned about how numbers, and it's really impressive how many people you have reached through this. And I would like to ask, on a daily basis, how do you manage your social network on posting feeds? You schedule them? Do you use like strict planning? How many posts you have in a certain time, or how do you keep it going?
As we mentioned in our presentation, we post one video per week. It is mainly on Mondays. So Monday at 7 p.m. That's our schedule for YouTube. But for Instagram, we don't really have schedules because we tend to present ourselves as YouTubers. So myself, I'm not that much of an influencer on Instagram, because I don't schedule my post. I post when I want. Yeah, that's my answer to it. I mean, Christine showed us that she is more of an influencer than us, so I'm curious in her answer.
It depends, yeah, like it's those apps that you can use to plan ahead of time, especially if you're a busy person and let's say you can't really be at the computer on Tuesday at 8 a.m. So that way there are a lot of apps that you can get that done. But the important thing when you work with those apps is to, let's say, dedicate a whole day sitting down and plan everything, let's say for 4 weeks at a time. So that's the only way that would be effective. But other than that, either you're just going to be really good at keeping to those deadlines because both can work. Like sometimes you don't even need these apps if you hold yourself responsible.
Thank you. And I would like to ask people also to raise your questions on chat. I can see that there are a few questions already there. We will go back to that. I just have my last question from my side to ask you, what is your goal for future when you want to get yourself as being influencer?
Our goal is to spread positivity. That's what I said earlier, but personally, my biggest goal, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, is to make feature film. So it might be a big dream, but one day, maybe in 5 to 10 years, I'm hoping that me and my squad from my channel, that we will have enough resources and enough and a large enough budget to do it. So yeah, that's my goal, to make movies.
Fantastic. That's yeah, I believe it will come.
Thank you.
And Christine?
So personally, I'm taking it day by day. I don't want to put too much high expectations in the channel itself, just getting content out there. Like I mentioned, I just want to educate people and hopefully make a difference, a positive difference in their life, sharing my experiences so they can learn from it or experience it through the screen with me. But if you want to talk about personal goals, like my dream would probably to have my own version of Steve Irwin's Crocodile Hunter on Animal Planet or National Geographic, in the jungle. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my show. We are here in the jungle of the Amazon, something like that. But that's why I want to practice science communication and speaking in front of the screen and, getting the public engaged in a fun way.
Yes, that's exactly, and I want to get to the question that we actually see on the chat. Christine, are you traveling? And when and how do you understand that you want to create the video?
Let me find that. So I travel for various reasons. Some of them are for business. Some of them are just travels on my own. Depending on when the opportunity arises. With work, it can get really busy. And in terms of creating videos, I just try to keep myself open to all ideas and try to be creative with any way as possible. So for example, even if I take a trip, let's say somewhere tropical or warm, let's say in the Philippines, and how do I link that to my channel? Well, it's in that case, it's pretty easy because I could just look at wildlife and the environment, and literally I could be on the beach and I start talking about the sand there and how it could be parrotfish poop, and just related to what I have learned in my background. You can Google that, parrotfish poop, and just finding inspiration in that sense. You have to think critically. And I feel like because I've been doing this for quite some time and this is how my mind works, it's so easy for me to do that. So if you're just starting out, you kind of want to, it's like a training process. You have to get your head in there because it could not come automatically at times. And in creating videos, like I said, it's just seizing any opportunity you're provided. I could literally hear something like, oh, there's going to be this reptile exposition here in Toronto, and it could be the day before, and I'm like, why not? Let's go. Let's film a video so people can see what it's like.
Thank you so much. And Christine, there is also a question to you on the chat. Can you show us one of the best of your posts?
So
you can share with us in the meantime. And
I think one of my best posts is in my channel. It's like my turtle and crocodiles, like life in zoology. My zoology experiences are one of my most popular ones. I guess people really want to see what it's like studying zoology or learning about zoology. I could try finding the video of it really quickly right now.
Try to find it. And there is a question also to Emerald and Harris, if for you in the future is possible to also put some subtitles into your posts so they can be also visible by English speaking people.
Yeah, that is a great question. My father told me, suggested me that because he saw that my content is good and it could be good for everyone in the world. So that is an option, and we will really think about it in the upcoming period.
It will be fantastic, and if you will make it, I would appreciate also to share it with us so we can spread it through the network of.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Yeah. And Christine, when you are ready, you can share it. Yes.
Sorry. This is just one. It's one of them. It's just like showing like.
You know what's weird? People love turtles, but I don't love them as much as I love snakes.
Yeah, it's just weird. So that's just like a preview of what it's like, but basically it's just showing what I'm doing in class, going around and learning about these animals. Obviously some people, like one example of a negative comment that I got is like, oh, are these turtles like, killed or abused? But then I explained to them that these animals are either donated or unfortunately suffer like die because of natural causes, and wouldn't really like participate in anything that practices like abuse to animals in that sense. So that way I can educate people in that regard where these things are coming from. Yeah, that's one of the best ones that I have. Sometimes it's random. Some videos that I didn't think would blow up would suddenly get a lot of views. But again, it just can sometimes just get really lucky.
Thank you. And I can see there is also a question from Anthony from Kenya. If or how do you measure your impact rather than just having followers?
I can maybe share one story from the last year when we were in Belgrade on Balkan Tube Fest. We were walking by the street, and there were one kid walking toward us, and he said that we are his idols, and because of us, he enrolled in gymnasium, and he started loving school. And those kinds of comments and words really stimulate us, and by that we know we are on the right path and that we are doing right things. We want to share positive influence and to make some standards what is good and what is bad for the new generations that follows us. That is the main goal of what we do.
Fantastic, yeah, it's a very heartwarming story. In this. You want to add anything?
That's all about this story.
Yeah, but Christine or Emerald?
Oh, Christine, you can go. I will follow you.
So in my experience, it's pretty similar. There'd be some people that would come up to me, strangers that I met before, like, oh, I watched your video. And I'm like, what? And then they start telling me a story how like, oh, it's really inspired me. Oh, I think it's great what you're doing. I get a lot of, I mentioned like questions about zoology and then asking me questions. And I think it's really sweet that they look up to me in that sense, and they're like, you're a big inspiration. I want to get into this field because it's like what you're doing is so exciting and fun and inspirational. And yeah, instead of followers, because like followers, they're numbers. Some of these people that message me don't even follow me, or sometimes I've been subscribed. You don't realize that you may be impacting a larger audience than you think you are. So those are comments, the ones that stick to me, not even like the views or the numbers in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to add some a story real quickly. We had a super fan, and her mother, she's like how do I say it? She's a 12-year-old female, and her mother emailed us if we could surprise her on a birthday. So we gathered up 7 of us and surprised her. How do I explain it? It was like a building there, and we hid under the corner. Then we just wildly appeared like a Pokemon, and she started crying from joy, of course.
Wow.
She was really happy. We gifted her our merch, official merch, or T-shirt, and that was a really big impact. And I think this is a real good question. Thank you, Anthony from Kenya. It is really crazy that you are watching this from Kenya. I feel flattered.
Thank you. That's really also fantastic case. I read, I don't know if it's a question or comment from George. Only building an audience should not be enough for long-term sustainability. What about developing yourself and your audience too?
Well, okay, I will answer it first. Okay, yeah. We mentioned something like this earlier. So we tried to build ourselves, and we did actually build ourselves because we were shy teenagers. We were really big introverts. So during our rise to fame, we developed our personalities, we gained confidence, and we became different persons. So I guess people who watched us as well developed through years, because I can really say we made educational content. It was funny, but it was educational as well. So we developed ourselves and we developed our audience.
Thanks a lot. And we have also a question from Shawen. How do you enhance your brand identification? And do you think it's important to manage your own brand as an individual influencer?
I think
Christine.
to like enhance your brand. Important thing is to establish it early on. That's why I came up with Sassy Zoologist, because I wanted to, it's, you know, quite memorable, and you have to embrace it in every aspect of your social media. You can create separate accounts, obviously, like I have my own personal one and I have the Sassy Zoologist account. And as an individual influencer, I think it's important to manage your own brand, because unless you can write down your vision, it's pretty hard to express. You can try conveying that to someone who can help you out. But let's say even with my posts, like there's a certain way that I write it that's apparently sassy, but not everyone can replicate that. So you can have some people help you, but at the end of the day, like I think it's important to have a final look at things. Even let's say like hypothetically, you know, hopefully when I make it out there, like I'd still, like in terms of editing, I'd still want to have a rundown through everything after everything's been said and done, to have like those little things that will make it the Sassy Zoologist brand.
Thank you. And guys, do you want to add something to that?
Well, this is kind of a individual question, but we as a group can have our opinion on it. So we made our brand unique by creating sketches that nobody else did. So yeah, I think that's the answer. I don't know if Haris has anything to say.
Yeah, I think it's a good answer also for this, because it's not only for like individual, like single person, but also you as an influencer. It can be a group under that, but it can be that from the top. And we have a last question, I think, on the chat. Thank you for all your answers. Have you ever thought of hosting a conservation action event for your followers?
Well, we don't have any live conversations events in our history, but considering how successful this interview, I feel it got, so maybe we will introduce these kinds of interviews on our channel maybe in the future. So that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, I think also that it might be interesting. Let's see it. Christine?
Yeah, definitely something that, an idea in my head, like for example, in a conservation aspect, it would be nice to potentially even host like a shoreline cleanup here in Toronto when things are better, obviously, and social distancing doesn't have to be practiced as much. But yeah, like it's a fun way to potentially, like, you know, meet people and like for them to meet me and ask questions they may have, but at the same time doing something for the planet in that sense. But even now, like with the wiry stay at home, those little challenges can make a difference, because you see people doing it across the globe, and even though you're distance and miles apart, you feel as if like you guys are still doing things together.
Yeah. It's just, I want to add for some people that are maybe not familiar, in the Young Reporters for the Environment program, we are running the activity now during this lockdown time that is called hashtag Wiry Stays Home, which is actually behind me on the screen if you are able to see. And for all young people that are interested to make some stories that will be also with this hashtag, and we can share them. And also we are looking for the best stories that can be awarded at the end. They can be on different topics, on environmental, related to environmental issues, and anything that you can make any improvements from home or seeing nearby you during the time when we are not able to socialize or go out from homes. I will just go with only one question at the end, because we will have to finish soon. And there is again a suggestion for any videos in English from from Bosnia and Herzegovina. So you have great chance now to share those stories in English.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about the subtitles.
Yes.
We actually have a video in English that we made for, but it is like an educational video. U.S. Embassy here in Sarajevo posted like how does that call, like a competition to film the best videos about like how to improve our country, and we attended that competition. We entered it with a video in English. I will put a link in the chat, so if anyone wants to see it, it's really short.
Exactly, that will be the best if you can put the link on the chat. And there is a question, is there any time where you felt of giving up? What pushed you to come back stronger? And this is a question from Malaysia.
Christine, can you answer?
Yeah. Oh my God, hi from Malaysia, wow. So in terms of giving up, there's definitely times where you lack inspiration, but then you just look at the positive impact that you've made. Like I mentioned earlier, like looking back at those conversations I've had with people who really appreciated what I've done, looking at the comments, like seeing, even though like some videos are old, like seeing how they're still getting views in that sense is like what's motivating me. And I think you just have to really remember why you were passionate in the beginning, and that's why it's important to be passionate for the right reasons. If you're faking it or forcing it, it's not going to work out. That's why you have to be inspired and stay true to yourself, because you're ultimately going to be the person to like inspire yourself, you know. You can find inspiration everywhere else, but you have to start with what's with you.
Yeah, you have to feel it.
Yeah.
And there is a question to all of you, if you can repeat hashtags, addresses that people can contact you. So if you can write them on chat. And meantime, I would like to ask everyone who's with us here yet to actually interact through Mentimeter. I share now on the screen our presentation on Mentimeter, and if you can go through your phone, or if you have no access to another tool, you will be able to answer also on our chat. But if you can go to www.menti.com and use the code 364077, and we have just 4 questions to you, so we can see if anyone is able to join us. If you are there, you can start sharing the information. Then it's also interesting, we'll see what our audience, what is the best tool actually to use if we want to be influencers? Is it Instagram, or is it YouTube, or Facebook is the most popular tool? So it will be interesting to see. Yeah, we can see that for now it's Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook are leading. Yeah, and definitely Instagram is on the top. And if you are there, you can still join. And I will maybe jump to another question that we have here. What is the most important for you when creating content on social media? You can just give us like a very short few words.
To me, it's like having someone take something from the video itself and for them to have fun with it, because I don't want my video, like I want there to be quality to my videos. You know, I could force uploading, like, you know, more often if I'd like, but then I feel like that would compromise the content and the messaging that I'm trying to get across to people.
Yeah, yeah. I think also like now in the era of social media and everywhere, we all are posting, making posts somewhere. And it's also important what we are having in our mind while creating this on social media. What we want to raise awareness. We want people enjoying something. We want people staying positive and having fun, and give some message to our friends. Yeah, to reach a lot of people, and yeah, clear message. Communicate something about environmental that can be interesting and innovative.
Yeah, really good answers. Really good answers.
Yeah, so really good beginning for all our audience to actually start being influencers.
Can I just add something that
Yes, go.
I still don't consider myself an influencer. No, it's just funny because when I was in France and I sat down on the stage, I was like, what am I doing here? No, it's just funny because you don't realize how far you've gotten until you're actually in the situation where you're like, wow, this is what I worked hard for. Because again, if you're just doing it just to go with the flow without like setting hard set goals, it shocks you.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's true. And also, like, I just want to give the background information to others in this. A few months ago in January, Christine was invited to give a speech at the Night of Ideas for Young People that was organized in Paris, in France. And that was when she was sharing her stories also of being a Sassy zoologist. And in one word, what did you learn from this webinar? Yes, definitely passion is the key word for being influencer. And also commitment, because as we were talking, it's like you have to believe what you are doing and not do it like just once and after forgotten. You have to feel it that you want to take this this way. And having fun is also important. Without this, you probably will not be able to continue it for a long time.
Exactly.
And find your niche, have knowledge, yeah, ready to be judged. Yes, that's what all these things, and never give up. So yes, never give up. And just our last question before we finish, did you find this webinar useful? So we are really, really happy that you find it interesting, and maybe we will have more young people in our network that will want to share that experience that way and being influencers. In our program, we are also planning in the future to give the opportunity for students actually to be influencers through Young Reporters for the Environment. So we hope that also from this webinar, we will be able to select some group of young people who will be happy to share stories through our tools. And I would like to say thank you to all of you for being with us today. And it was fantastic meeting. Thank you to our speakers for having a great presentation, fantastic discussion. And I wish you all success with all your way of being influencers and increasing your impact, increasing your audience. And I hope we will stay in touch when we will be, and you will share the stories with us as well, so we can share it larger with the YRE network.
Thank you for the invitation. It was really a pleasure, a real nice new experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We are very honored to be on this webinar to say something about our experiences. It was very nice, and thank you once again.
Thank you all so much for watching and for your questions. It was nice to learn from another YouTuber influencer's perspective. It's always nice to grow as a creator in that sense, and hopefully everyone stays home and stays safe in this crisis.
Yeah, thank you so much. Definitely stay safe. And also for all of you who are interested with project-based learning education, we are inviting you for the webinar tomorrow at the same time. So stay in touch and see you soon. And thank you so much for today.
See you.
See you.